I cheated on my boyfriend with one of my best friends, and I am terrified of coming clean. I, 24F, have been friends with this guy, 27M, since 2022. We worked together at the same level in our jobs, and after just the first few shifts we had together, we became, what I believe to be, best friends. Our friendship was a lot of joking with each other, picking on each other, and after being friends for a while and spending many quiet shifts together in hospitality, we began opening up to each other and sharing deep details of our past and present. Opening up to people comes very naturally to me, as I have always been a bit of an open book and never kept stuff to myself. However, it was always clear that he was a very closed-off person and didn't open up to just anyone. I had never known a guy to be this open with me, as I had never had close male friends due to only working in a female-dominated industry previously. We grew closer for a while to the point we had talked about how much we loved and appreciated our relationship, and how having a friendship as deep and honest as ours was new to the both of us. Over time, we saw each other less due to rising through the ranks at work, and work itself getting more stressful for the both of us. And the closeness we sharded and valued had sank. I don't believe it ever really left our friendship, but things just weren't the same. We both got into relationships and the closeness stopped. We would still poke fun at each other and bicker, but stopped opening up to one another. After a few months of stress, my friend had hit a breaking point at work and handed in his notice. Before he was due to leave, he asked to talk to me. He wanted to open up to me one last time before he left, as it would have been our last shift together. He admitted that he had had feelings for me, but never said anything because of how much I meant to him as a friend. I told him that I had always suspected, but I never brought it up out of anxiety of being wrong, and also knowing that realistically we were two different of people, and have always known that we wanted different things in life, so it wouldn't have worked anyway. This was not what I wanted to say, though. I didn't just suspect he had feelings for me, I knew he did, and I did too. I just wanted to tell him how much love I had for him and how much I loved our relationship, and for most of it, I wondered what it would be like if we did end up together. Instead, I chose to bite my tongue, as he was in a relationship and seemed happy, and I was, and still am, in a relationship of my own with a man I can genuinely see spending the rest of my life with. But about a day or so before he was due to leave, he retracted his resignation and ended up staying. I was very excited. I thought I was going to get to keep my friend in my life, but he ended up becoming colder to me over time. It sucked. Around this time, I was hitting a breaking point of my own. Rather than leaving immediately, I stepped down from my role to reduce my stress while I looked for another job closer to my boyfriend's city, and eventually I did leave. I had attempted to do the same goodbye, but unfortunately never really got the chance. The final opportunity came when I visited to drop off my uniform and say goodbye to other friends I had missed. However, when I finally caught him and asked if we could sit down and talk, so I could say a proper goodbye, he blew me off, claiming he was busy. I think he knew what I was going to say, but I was too hurt to care. I didn't even get a lousy generic goodbye. We saw each other here and there over the years, and it was always cold, on both sides. I didn't end up staying at the job in my boyfriend's city, so took a job in a pub not far away from where we used to work. He also finally left, months later. Fast forward to now. Me and my boyfriend have been together for over a year and a half. He is my absolute world, and we have a beautiful and strong relationship. My boyfriend has always known past with this guy, as I never saw a point in hiding it, and we have always told each other everything from day one. A few days ago, a mutual friend from our old work, who had been living in her home country for the last 7 months, came back into town. During her visit, she has been starting to make plans to move back into the country. This includes finding a 3-bed house with the guy. I started my day having coffee with her and catching up. We then moved locations to the pub I work at, as she was meeting a group of people from our old job. I was unaware of this and thought we had just moved locations to wrap up our day. Before I had realized what was happening, in walks the friend. We sat awkwardly making polite convocation while several others arrived. The next thing I knew, out of nowhere, we were back. We were bickering and joking around. It was like no time had passed. He then told me to drink up because I was joining them for the evening. We spent time catching up on our lives. I told him I am still with my boyfriend. I didn't ask much of his relationships, as I had heard bits and pieces through our mutual friends, and I knew he had been through a lot of pain over the past year, something he wouldn't want to talk about in a group. As we got drunker, we spent most of our convocations talking about how much we missed each other and how much love, platonic love, we still had for each other, and how we wanted to start spending time together again. Then, before our mutual friend left, we started talking about the house they were going to rent and how they needed someone for the 3rd room, and as I am living like a bit of a nomad between several places at the moment, none of which are a practical long-term solution for me, I asked how they would feel about me joining them, and they both agreed with enthusiasm. This is when I fucked up. When our mutual friend left, we moved on to a club. We were both very drunk at this point, but my friend insisted he wanted to dance. So we went with several others from the group still with us. We got to the club and both tried to encourage the rest of the group to join us on the dance floor, but as the club was basically empty, they didn't want to, but we didn't care, so we went to dance just the 2 of us. After a while, it started filling up and we were joined by the rest of the group. As I didn't know the rest of the group too well, and I'm not great at dancing and having fun in big crowds, I kept migrating out of the small dance circle they had created. My friend noticed this and called me over to the crowded bar. We looked at each other and had yet another on of our "holy shit, I've missed you" moments that we had been having all night, and both went in for yet another big hug. This is when the energy between us shifted and we started kissing. It didn't take long for me to realize, what the fuck am I doing? It was like I wasn't me in that moment, or at least I wasn't current me. It's like I was me from 2 years ago kissing the guy I'd had a crush on for months. I snapped out of it, hugged him again, and then ran to the bathrooms. I felt like I was going to be sick and/or wanted to cry. After about 10 minutes, I came out of the bathroom to find out he had left. This is when my panic for what had just happened turned into panic for him. I called him countless times to no response. I left the club to try and find him, but came up empty. I called him and looked for him for over 45 minutes. This may seem excessive, but he's not the most reliable drunk, so I had cause for concern, especially after what had just happened. Before giving up and trying to accept he is a grown man and can get himself home, I messaged him an apology and a plea for him to let me know he got home safe, and then went home myself. Conclusion. It has been a few days since this happened, and from what our mutual friend has told me, this has become headline news between the rest of the group that was there that night, spilling out into our mutual friend circle. From our soon-to-be roommate, so far I have learned that I am pretty confident my friend doesn't even remember what happened, which, to be honest, isn't the least bit surprising, as he has always had a terrible memory even when sober. I know I need to tell my boyfriend and am praying to every deity that he can forgive me. I have spoken to him over FaceTime and told him all about the night minus the kiss. I am going to tell him, but I know I can't do it over the phone, and due to us living over an hour away, I can't see him until Tuesday at the earliest. As for the friend, I still plan on moving in with him and our mutual friend in January, as it is more about logistics for all of us. All three of us will be meeting up tomorrow, so maybe updating this post after that, and hopefully again with good news after telling my boyfriend. Is there any advice on what I should say? Is what I've done as horrible as it feels? I know I can dramatize my life into our psychosis of shame, and I know it's not like we slept together and was just a drunken kiss, but because of the history, it feels a lot worse, especially when I cannot get that kiss out of my head.